Morning, all. All right, so we're going to talk about some playoffs. We've got mild news of the day kind of stuff down here. To me, it's just the annual discussion. We have it every year, so we'll have that discussion at the end of the video. But starting things off with the PWHL, so the women's hockey. Minnesota defeats Toronto last night 2-0 to make the series 2-1 for Toronto. So Minnesota still has to win three straight to move on to the final, where they would play the winner of Boston and Montreal. But at least Minnesota got on the board. They do get the shutout victory. Goals have been at a premium this year in the PWHL, and that continues to be the case in the playoffs. The AHL playoffs, the division finals start tomorrow, so there are 8 teams still alive. The only parent club that's actually still alive in the Stanley Cup playoffs, as well as in these playoffs, the New York Rangers. Hartford is still there after knocking off Providence last round. Bit of an upset there. But Hartford now has to deal with Hershey. Hershey, the defending Calder Cup champs. And they got everybody down from Washington for the last round. Hershey beat Lehigh Valley 3-1 in the last series, 3-1 in the last series. So that series starts on Thursday. Hershey finished the season with a record of 53, 14, 0, and 5. The four columns are because you have wins, regulation losses, overtime losses, and shootout losses. Then on the Rangers slash Wolfpack side of things, 34, 28, 7, and 3 being their record there. Also starting on Thursday, the Cleveland Monsters will be up against Syracuse. This should be an interesting one. Cleveland finished the season 40, 24, 5, and 3, whereas Syracuse finished the season 39, 24, 4, and 5. So those records are really similar to one another. Syracuse gets here by beating Rochester in the last round, took all 5 games. They beat them 3-2. Whereas for Cleveland, they beat Belleville, the Ottawa Senators franchise, of course, 3-1. The Belleville Senators went down. And then out west, you've got the Milwaukee Admirals and the Grand Rapids Griffins. For Milwaukee, they finished the season 47, 22, 2-1. They had a ridiculously long winning streak in there as well. On the Grand Rapids side, they're 37, 23, 8, and 4 during the regular season. They get here by beating Rockford in the last round, 3-1. Whereas Milwaukee beat the Texas Stars. It took all 5 games, but they did knock out Texas. And so now they get to play against Grand Rapids. Whereas we've got Coachella Valley in Ontario out west. And Coachella Valley 46, 15, 6, and 5. They made it all the way to the Calder Cup final last year, where they lost in that final against Hershey. It was a really fun series, though. I really enjoyed covering that. I look forward to covering the Calder Cup final again this year. Calder Cup final is usually after the Stanley Cup final is done, so yeah, it's kind of fun to watch. But Coachella Valley in the last round beat the Calgary Wranglers 3-1, whereas Ontario beat the Abbotsford Canucks in 3 straight games. Coachella Valley finished the season 46, 15, 6, and 5, whereas Ontario finished the season 42, 23, 3, and 4. And so both series out west start tomorrow, and both of the Eastern-based series start on Thursday. So yeah, it should be kind of fun. I don't have, you guys don't need to let me know who you think's going to win each series, but I thought it would be fun to talk about the AHL playoffs since we've got a bit of a break here before the next round gets started. I thought about doing like a full-on preview video yesterday, and I thought, yeah, I'll do that this morning. So there you go. Now, National Hockey League playoffs. Starting at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Boston Bruins need to win this to stay alive. It's that simple. They're going to have to do it without Marchand again. So Pasternak, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points for him. Geeky, 3 goals and an assist for him. They might need a little more from Geeky, again, with Marchand being out. Carlo's been good. 3 goals and an assist for Carlo, but the 3 goals for Carlo, that's solid. Swayman, 930 save percentage. I would say he needed to be better, but I don't think this is on Swayman. Florida's just outplaying them. So Florida with the 3-1 series lead. Sam Bennett, of course, public enemy number 1 right now in Boston. 4 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. We'll see what he does tonight. Barkov, 5 goals, 8 assists, 13 points for him. Barkov's been absolutely monstrous. That game-winning goal he had the other night was just beautiful. And then Montour, 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points. Kind of quiet offensively compared to last year during the regular season, but during the playoffs, it's really clicked for him. Bobrovsky, an 892 save percentage. If Boston's going to stay alive, they need to keep Bobrovsky busy. They need to get a lot of shots on net. They've been outplayed. So while everybody's talking about the officiating and a goal here and there that people may not like, the reality is Florida's just been the better team. Then we go out to the Vancouver-Edmonton series. Vancouver's up 2-1. They're going to, of course, be without Soucy, who's been suspended just for this game. For Vancouver, JT Miller, 2 goals, 9 assists, 11 points. He's been fantastic. Elias Lindholm has as well. 5 goals, 2 assists, 7 points. I think Lindholm's made a good argument for the Canucks, at least trying to figure out if there's a way salary cap wise to keep him. I don't think there is, but we'll see. And Zadorov, who is a free agent this summer as well. I would think his ticket to staying as a Vancouver Canuck has been punched. 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points for Zadorov. Of course, he got fined after the last game. We'll see how things go tonight. Shilov's 908 save percentage for Shilov's. He was fantastic in the last game. We'll see what he does today. On the Edmonton side of things, McDavid was held off the board, but still 2 goals, 15 assists for 17 points. Just very, very dangerous player, and the Canucks are going to have to continue to blanket him. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, a goal and 9 assists for 10 points for RNH. And Bouchard, 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points. Evan Bouchard, of course, you have to worry about his slap shot. You have to worry about all his passing as well. And just the fact this team can be stacked at times. Skinner, an 877 save percentage. There's been a lot of debate about who should or shouldn't be the goaltender for the Edmonton Oilers in this game. I think you have to go back to Skinner. I'd be kind of surprised if they don't. Only because, Pickard played in the last game and made 3 saves. He's 32 years of age. That's the first time he's played in the playoffs. And I even saw people saying, well, if they use Jack Campbell, I don't see that. Because, again, Jack Campbell, I think the Canucks know how to beat Jack Campbell as well. But, again, we'll see what the Oilers do. Because, again, it is a big part of this series, the whole goaltending thing being skewed seemingly towards the Canucks. And the Canucks are using a goaltender who, in the hierarchy of their franchise, is technically the number 3. And I'm saying technically because I think he has surpassed DeSmith for next season, and I'd be very surprised if DeSmith's back with the team just because it looks like Shilovs is absolutely ready to be an NHL goaltender. So now we're having the annual discussion of whether or not referees should have a press conference after the game. And really what this comes down to is there's just differences of opinion. There is no such thing as a call that everybody agrees with. And very often the calls, it's split down tribal lines. Whatever team you root for, you will decide whether something should or shouldn't be a penalty, what should or shouldn't be called. And so I don't think that having referees answer questions after a game would make a lot of sense. And I understand why people want that and that people want that maximum transparency. But keep in mind the National Hockey League, one of the first things they did with officials once we got into, I want to say the early 2000s, was they removed the referee's name from the back of his jersey because the referee's name was on the back of their jersey. All the referees had to wear helmets, which is a safety thing, but it was in part to make all the officials look the same, to make it as nameless as possible, and to make it so that, all the referees, you don't worry about whose name's on the back because it's not there, and just to try to make it as basically make it so they just blend in. They're just part of the background. I can't see a situation where referees are going to be answering questions. Plus, they don't really have media training. I think that could get ugly really fast. I don't know. They're all different, very, very different characters, referees are. And I almost guarantee that within the first couple weeks, there'd be a referee answering a reporter's question with, have you been a referee? No? Well, stop criticizing me then. And I don't think it would go well. And again, I don't think it would give people the answers they want. And the other part of it, too, is the referee's like, yeah, I flat out missed it. There you go. And so if a referee's honest and goes, yeah, I missed that call in the last game, well, now that's going to be a soundbite everywhere. And the NHL is going to be in a position where they're like, do we have to do something then? Because, it's going to look bad if we don't. He's admitting he didn't see. And, it's just, yeah, I think it opens the door to more problems than solutions. And I think really in all honesty, what people are looking for from the officiating, they're not going to get. Like the idea that, well, there's going to be this total agreement on it's not there. And what's interesting to me is too when the answers are more along the lines of what Toronto thought, and then Toronto very often, through the league, will give their opinion of why they made the call they did, but it don't have to be their job. It's a difficult job. You get a phone call and, hey, we got to figure this out. Okay. And whatever decision I make, there's going to be a lot of people that are really angry. It's not a job that I envy at all. So at any rate, I don't anticipate Gary Bettman or the league ever saying, yeah, we'll have officials available after the game. I think it's a powder keg waiting to go off. And while I totally understand people being upset with calls they don't like, I've been upset with calls I didn't like either. I just don't see the league doing it. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.